Hello, everyone. We're live.
Hey.
What's
Hello.
going on, everybody?
So, welcome to our next episode of the Stadia Source Roundtable. It's episode 1, but it's actually our second one because the first one was a pilot. Unfortunately, Duncan couldn't join us tonight, so you've got myself, Dan, and Tommy, and we're also being joined by Chase from StadiaTalk as well. And this time, we're probably going to spend most of our time talking through the events of yesterday, Stadia Super Saturday. We'll touch on any latest news that's happened since then. So, yeah, how are you guys doing?
I'm just about alive, really, at the moment. This is probably really a good point for me to just go to bed and start the week over again. It's been a long day, but it's been awesome, and I'm really happy with how the whole event went, and it's just been an awesome chance for me to see some people that I've not seen before as well. Time zone differences and so on, and yeah, it's just been crazy, but it's been really good to see how everybody's got on and that people have been supported literally for 24 hours. That I don't think anybody had a stream that didn't have a decent number of people on it, which is really good. And it was nice for us, I think, to mix a bit more, because I know some of us are obviously more friendly than others, but a chance for everybody to just hang out and chat in other people's streams, it was really good.
Yeah, agreed. I think the big takeaways for me are the following. One, Google supported the event. We all behind the scenes people don't know this, but just to kind of pull the curtain back, we really didn't think we were going to get some stuff from that end, and the fact that we did was just absolutely phenomenal. And their support goes to show that they value this community, meaning they value the content creators, they value the people watching, the viewers, the listeners. And from a business side of the house, that's massive. You can't understate that. It's a big deal. As far as the day is concerned, I'm right there with Tommy, man. Like I was everywhere. I got asked to come on to streams. And I was like, man, I did not expect, everybody's like, hey, you want to come on over? I'm like, yeah, sure. Hey, you want to come on over? Yeah, sure. Then by the time I got to 5 o'clock yesterday, I was like, man, I've overextended myself without even realizing it. And I felt bad because I really, we talked about this just a minute ago offline. I really wanted to watch MM2K Stadia Dosage's live stream, and I just couldn't stay awake. I was just dead at that point. So, but overall, it was an awesome day. It was an awesome showcase of this community, and props to you guys at Stadia Source for helping bring it together. I think that was a massive, massive shout by you guys.
Just quickly, I'm aware that people are saying that they can only hear you, Chase. So I just wanted to check if people can hear me now.
So I've just looked over the video and I can hear myself, so I'm not sure why people can't hear me.
Maybe they just don't have their volume up.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you guys fine, so we should be okay.
Yeah. So obviously, yesterday was a massive success. I think I stayed awake for most of it. I think by the time it got to Stadia Dosage's stream, I was kind of lying in bed watching it, thinking I just need to sleep. It was 4 a.m. in the morning. You know what I mean? The event ends at like 8-9 o'clock in the morning our time. So
I found it quite funny, actually, how everybody kind of said after Meg's stream had finished, and we literally had like 5 minutes just left in that lobby, and everyone was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm just like done now." When I logged back onto Twitter in the morning, and I seen that Dan was still tweeting at 4:30 in the morning, I was like, "The guy's an animal."
Your tweet today, Tommy, was great. You're like, I've never seen this many people not be on Stadia in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. That wasn't even in the morning. Not early morning. I can't remember what time it was. Let me check. Yeah, I just like, I've never ever loaded up Stadia and not seen that many people. It was at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock midday, and literally I had nobody in my friends list online. I was like, that's the sign of a good event.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic.
It's funny, just real quick. There was a couple people that I know were messaging back that they had been up the entire time. Like there was one person that had been up since the GMT time that you guys started, and I was like, what is this? Like, tell me your secrets, because I need to know. Like, I had 3 cups of coffee by noon. Literally, I'm not joking. Like, literally 3 cups of coffee. No caffeine pills. I know I make that joke all the time, but it was not enough. And then I was still like, I need something to keep me going. So then, yeah, it just didn't work itself out. I was gonna say, Tommy's like, I'm an official sponsor of Monster now and Supercross 3. Look at that.
I was about to say that.
I had far too many of them, and yeah, it's perfect timing with that game.
I had 2 cups of coffee, and that was about it. So,
to be fair, I substituted with rum halfway through the night, and that's probably where things started going wrong. But it did win the last race, so something happened, right?
Yeah.
So questionable tactics.
I kind of want to go through, obviously, all of the streams that happened throughout the day and maybe discuss them a little bit. If you weren't there for them, obviously feel free to kind of skip, but I was there for most of them, so I can pretty much at least talk about something for every single one of them. So is that all right with you guys?
Yeah, it's fine.
So obviously, Stadia Source kicked off at the beginning of the day, just kind of quickly going through the news. It was supposed to just be going through the schedule, but I think we had a half an hour slot, and we did it all in about 15 minutes. So the rest of the 15 minutes, we kind of took comments and looked at the news. So up after us was the glory of Stadia, Wingy.
AKA, yeah, that was it was interesting because I caught it right from the very beginning when he had a mic issue as well, and then I had to quickly run off and came back to the stream again, and it was just gone. I was like, oh right, what's happened here? But I went back through it again. But yeah, man, Wingy's one of my favorites. The guy is just entertaining from before it even starts till literally the very last second. He's definitely one of my favorite streamers as well.
He has you entertained before he even opens his mouth. It's
yeah,
just the way
just his face, like his expressions and stuff.
He has a great command of the audience, man. He understands how to connect with people, and I think he's an old school person. You know, he understands the ins and the outs of connecting with people, and his comedic humor, his ability to intertwine the two things, along with actually being serious about content and about gaming. I agree with Tommy. He's my favorite. As far as YouTube content creators are concerned, he's my favorite. I've always enjoyed his content. I've always enjoyed watching his stuff, and I think he did a great job. Minus, I know he was freaking out about the mic. Like when he came on, he's like, well, there's. you can see, he's like, oh no.
He messaged me late at night because I know he wanted to do some stream. I think it was of Supercross 3. He messaged me late at night, basically saying it's all gone pear-shaped and he's probably just going to just go live and talk crap. So I was like, whatever, man, it's your segment. Just run with it. So did any of you catch Cloud Gaming X's late night game session?
I stayed for well, actually, I say I stayed. I kept popping in and out, which is what I've done for a lot of the actual day, really. It's just with obviously having the kids up and that, and Sarah's in work, so it wasn't possible for me to sit and watch all of it. But to be fair, I probably done that for up until about sort of 5-ish, I think. I was just jumping in and out of people's streams, just popping in, having a quick chat with whoever was in there and showing some support. But yeah, I seen the beginning of it and then just dived in and out.
Yeah, well, Ace did a good job as he always does. Streaming some gameplay. So I tended to kind of, like you said, if I wasn't direct laser focused for every single one of them, but I tried to kind of pop in and write a few messages in the chat just to show support. Obviously, we had the Twitter running throughout the day as well, running live. So, yeah. Anything to add to that, Chase? Did you show up for that one, or were you in the land of Nod?
I was officially in bed still, so.
Yeah. I think that was the downside of the event. The plus side was that there was content for everybody in all time zones, but the downside was that unless you were hardcore, you weren't going to consume it all. So,
but I guess this is our first event, right, as well. And what we've maybe learnt from this is where we had people that were kind of looking to fit into slots around schedules. I guess next time we can just look at also where these people are, because there's not going to be a problem with having somebody on a European time and a US time, because you're going to hit different markets in there and people can still pop between the two. If you're watching one, there's not going to be an issue where you can't just jump in between the two of them. I don't think you'd necessarily detract as long as you try and get so that the two people aren't streaming the same thing. And then that way, again, you're going to cover, not everybody's going to like a certain type of content, and just open it up to everybody.
Yeah, well, we've had conversations about future events and how often we're going to be doing these type of things. Now, nothing's been agreed yet, but ideas have been
next
thrown
week
around.
Is really soon, man.
Tomorrow, what are you on about? We're going live after this.
Manic Monday.
But yeah, we've had ideas like bi-monthly, bi-quarterly, bi-yearly, whether we do maybe like 12 hours instead of 24. So yeah, if we can get some feedback from the audience as well, let us know and we'll consider all things. So
I know one thing that and not to detract, because I know we want to move on to the other things, but just to throw this in there real quick, one thing that I know my wife, she saw me like literally running around the house as I was trying to move between shows. She's like, man, you guys really should have like a 10-minute or 15-minute grace period, because if you're moving on to another segment and you need to set up, like you literally have no time if you're handing off. And I think that's something that we will learn, like you said, Dan, that maybe 24 hours is a bit much of a stretch. Maybe we find a happy medium. And just like, how often do we do it? Is it a quarterly thing? Is that too much? Does biannually make more sense, which would mean 2 events a year? You know, we will find, I'm sure, a common ground where it makes the most sense between all the content creators. So I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. And you and Duncan and the Stadia Source team, you've done a very good job of being kind of that party that kind of marshals everybody together, and we kind of have that broad consensus. So I don't think there's going to be any issue with that whatsoever.
Yeah. So let's move on. Stadia Community France was on next, doing a live stream of Samurai Showdown and Supercross 3. And I also know Eddie popped on as well to provide English translations for that. I'll be honest with you, I watched Eddie's more than I watched the French one, obviously, because I don't speak French. But it was good to see the French speaking community being represented as well. And we wanted to make sure this was as inclusive as possible, people around the world. And I'm sure there's just as many Stadia fans in France as there is anywhere else. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are obviously very much dominated by English-speaking people, but I think you kind of tend to get that with tech stuff anyway, really, don't we? If it's released in America, then it's going to be predominantly an English-speaking base initially, and it goes out wider and wider as time goes on. But obviously, there's a lot of Spanish speaking in the US as well, and Portuguese. So then you got Canada, which gives you all the French as well. So it's kind of makes sense, I guess, that those are the initial sort of channels that go out. And I know I actually follow a couple of Spanish content creators, with Tequila Works also being a Spanish studio. I think that they draw a certain extra attention to themselves there. But I know for at least a couple of weeks, I was getting tagged in loads of Spanish tweets, and it was racking my brain because I used to live in Spain, but I haven't had to speak Spanish for like 11 years. So I was just like, oh, I don't understand. Oh yeah, there's a translate button. Make life easy.
Yeah, so Victor was asking for stats to share about the day's events. I don't actually have any to hand at the moment, but what I'll do is as soon as we finish the stream, I'll go through and have a look, and we will put them on Twitter or something like that. Wherever you want them, we'll put them.
I will say something on that real quick, and this is unofficial, so this is not official, because I think what the conversation has been is that you're going to take the views from each of the videos, right, and kind of try to get a general idea of what the total population was. But I will say, on average throughout the day, most streams had 48 to 51 on average concurrent viewers. I can speak for my channel. I had the highest population I've ever had in a stream at one current time. So I think on the day it was in my opinion, it was a success, and I think we're going to see that in the total numbers after they're all tabulated.
Yeah, I'd have exactly the same feelings towards that. When I started the stream, I think I was already at 40 viewers, and I was like, oh, I haven't even said hello to anybody yet. This is mental.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I did, and I went down to 20, but never mind. No, I'm joking. It was good, but I feel like you say, everybody's stream that I entered, everybody was around that sort of number, mid to high 30s, all the way up to some in the 50s and 60s. So it was really good to see that everybody was getting some love, and I think that's the joy of doing something like this, right? We're spreading the fan base out to everybody that uses or is interested in Stadia.
Yeah, and I know there's been some people as well that they've kind of followed the day, and they've gone from stream to stream, and they've come across people that they've not actually watched before, and as such they've obviously found new content creators that they're interested in. So I think that's why people were consistently getting like high numbers of viewers, was because they'd just hop from one channel to the other just to see what was going on. They stick around for the first 5-10 minutes and think, actually, this is my cup of tea. So that was the plan, really. That was what we planned all along, is to kind of share that community between everyone. So that was brilliant. After that, we had some weirdo by the name of StadiaTalk. I've never watched him at all.
Don't subscribe, right?
Oh God.
That was a small small shots fired. Hey, listen, you'll be able to give one back to Duncan in a little bit. Since he's not here, he can't speak for himself. So
he's going to pop up in the chat any minute and just be like,
"You heard him during the Supercross race. Justice was served." I said, "No, it wasn't."
So Duncan's actually said to look in Discord for stats. So looks like he may have beat us to this.
I think Eddie posted something about the Twitter reach throughout the day.
Let me see here. Did he send us something?
It was so many thousand. I remember seeing it.
Where is it at? Where did he post? Duncan, where did you post that in the Discord?
This is where he just turns around and goes, I didn't.
Is he talking about the... Yeah, I don't see anything. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right place.
Yeah, we'll find that, and we'll post it on Stadia Source or something. So, I think he's just sent it to us.
Oh, here we go. Hold on.
Duncan, my man.
I'm just enlarging it right now. So, number of views.
See, I can maybe put that up on the screen if anybody wants to see it.
Yeah, because he didn't send it to me.
Let me get it up on the screen so people can see it. Not that you're going to be able to see that, but... Tell me in the chat, guys, if you can see that. So
I'm just going to tell you a softball figure from what I'm looking at from the math here. It looks like... I'm just trying to kind of do some... We're either right at 4,000 or just over it. I'm not going to say it's an exact number, but it's pretty close. If you look at all the numbers together, it's going to be somewhere around that figure. It may even be a little bit higher than that. So that's, I would say, for a small event for the first time that this has come, this is the first time it's happening. That's a large number of people. And I don't know what Google's going to consider success on their end, but I'm going to be very honest. That's a pretty good number of folks throughout a duration of a day that they've captured an audience on. So I can't imagine they're not going to be happy. Not going to be happy is what I meant to say with these numbers. Of course, I think anything that's 5,000 or higher, and I don't know once these numbers are tabulated if it'll even be close to that. But I think if it was close to that number or higher, I think that's a big win for a first time event that's never happened before. I think that would be a major success in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And like you say, this is something that obviously we're very thankful that Google Stadia came to and helped support with this. But they came to this, I say they came to it late. This took off very quickly and became a thing very quickly. It wasn't like a typical event where you'd probably plan this for a couple of months in advance and really sort of set out a full almost PR role yourself to make sure that everybody knew about it way before it comes on board. So for us to knock this together by a bunch of people doing it as a hobby for a start, and then to get numbers like this and get content for a full 24 hours from many different contributors.
Okay, hold on. So now so 24,000 impressions on Twitter. That's huge. That's massive. 6,000 concurrent views total overall. That's massive. So that's above the number that I was even saying. So that's huge. That already puts this in a much different category. 750 plus likes. That one's good. But I think the one that stands out to me, one is the views, but look at the concurrent impressions on Twitter. That is going to be a number that I think Stadia is going to be massively happy with. Again, for a first time event to get that much exposure, that's a big deal. That's a massive deal.
We know Stadia like the Ks.
Yes, they do. K's and P's, K's and P's.
We're not talking about nuts. So yeah, apparently credit to Stadia Dosage on that one.
MM2K.
Yeah, thank you for those. Again, we'll get them published on the website. A lot of those as well might not be people that were viewing during the event. People have obviously woken up and gone and rewatched some of that back. So obviously they're just initial figures. They could go completely up as well. So yeah, brilliant on that one. Let me get rid of that for the time being so you can see our beautiful faces. So yeah, we were on the topic of StadiaTalk. Me and Duncan jumped in on your stream and we basically just covered the news for the first section. We then dipped out and you just engaged with the audience for the next bit, didn't you? Which is your usual kind of content.
Yeah, I thought it was a good segment, and I thought the we got into some. I think we've talked about this offline, but we got into some topics that I think needed to be addressed. Whether it was in this event or it was somewhere else. And I got some feedback on it right off the bat, and it was very interesting feedback from some folks about how they felt that the topic was us doing the exact same thing that we were talking about. And I think some people really took out of context what was being said. But nonetheless, I think overall the conversation was really good. We talked about Baldur's Gate, and I think Duncan coming in with the save on the Buddy Pass was really nice too. We got to give one of those away during the stream. So I was really pleased with it. And my focus during that time is I really wanted to highlight that this day was about everybody. It was about Stadia. It was about our awesome community, the content creators. I mean, quite honestly, we've got some of the best individuals I've had the pleasure of interacting with. And I don't say that lightly. I genuinely mean it. And the viewers and the listeners, without them, we can't do what we do. You can't do your job, Dan, effectively with the journalistic stuff that you do. And I know Tommy, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm sure he feels the same way for his content. It's these things are massive, and for Google to get involved and do what they did, again, and I'm going back to this, but it's a massive deal. It's a massive deal that they put some weight behind this, and that shows that they care about us guys. It shows that they care about the community. And that's a big deal.
I think I've kind of heard on the grapevine, maybe through Duncan, that if we do another one, I think they want to be involved kind of more from the beginning rather than right towards the end. So that might help kind of steer direction a little bit more. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that one.
Maybe
and
get
then
our own pop-up event.
Yeah, you get to meet us minor celebrities.
Could you imagine that, a live actual, like, us all together? Oh Jesus, that would be bad. That would be real bad. So we're all gonna get in trouble.
We're gonna need to go to Vegas for that one or something.
Oh Jesus!
Papa 12, it's in the name. Shout out, Tommy. Shout out.
So if we can time that around a UFC fight as well.
It'd be absolutely brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant.
So then, Chase, you were with Eddie for Stadia Player One this week on Stadia. After that, you did 3 hours consecutively on that one, didn't you? So, like you said earlier about the husband points.
Man, listen, my wife is amazing. She's I can't say enough amazing things about her. You know, she's very, very understanding of me doing content and doing she knows that this is my passion from the business side of things and gaming and everything else. So she's always very, very, understanding of it. But yeah, it was a lot to do in a 3 hour span, but I think the podcast with Eddie and I went really well. We went into some predictions about, what's going to happen over the next 3 months, leading into E3, what's going to happen as far as the next 9 months. And Eddie's prediction came true. His New Year's resolution, he said that he wanted to see more indie titles on Stadia. And what happens? We get indie titles. So, shout out to Eddie on that one. Mine was one that I've let go now, but it was fix your communication and your narrative control. We see how that one turned out. So
turned out in the community creating an event and doing the PR for them.
Anyone, Chase, 0.
So if you guys wouldn't mind, what I'd like to do to kind of split this up is to do the first competition draw. And this will be, basically I've got a list of everybody who participated via the Stadia Source contact form, the web form, throughout the entire day and since yesterday as well. So you've had extra time basically to enter today as well, which we did put on Twitter. So I've got a list of all of the names. Obviously, as such, that goes without saying, the contact form is now closed, so no more entries from now on. If I just bring this up here, we've got good old trusty random.org, and I'm going to paste in all of the names here of the people who entered. So what's going to happen is the first person to, when I randomize the list, whoever's at the top is going to receive a copy of Borderlands 3. Whoever's second is going to receive a copy of Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and I believe it's the Ultimate Edition as well, so you want to watch out for that one. So are we ready, guys?
Let's do it.
Need a drum roll.
Retrospective drum roll. Yeah, so excuse my pronunciation. Guillaume Pico.
I can't even see it, to be completely honest with you.
You see that?
Tommy's going to go to the back of the room and get a magnifying glass.
So yeah, you'll be receiving a copy of Borderlands 3. We've got your email address as well, so we'll be sending you an email shortly. And Klaus Peterson, you'll be receiving a copy of Ghost Recon Breakpoint as well. So
congratulations, guys.
Keep your eyes on your inbox. You'll see a email from someone at StadiaSource.com. Check your spam as well, just in case. And let me just reset this form as well. If any of you wanted to see how close you were, then the rest of the names are there. But we had 183 entries.
I'm going to say someone's going to go frame by frame by frame.
I was 160th. Damn it, so close. So if I click on go back there, that should reset the form, and we will do the hoodie kit later on in the show as well. So let's just get rid of that and let's carry on with what we were talking about. So 64 LXIV was after Eddie. Now, I must admit, this is when I was having my lunch, so I didn't check this one out as much as I'd have liked to. But was anybody else in the stream?
This one's currently on my save to watch list, along with about another 4 or 5, I think. And then I would have caught up with everything.
Chase, you were in it, weren't you? Yeah. I just clocked on while you were doing that then. So.
I thought you were doing something else to start.
No. Stop. No, no, but I was afraid my piloting skills were going to come to the forefront because the first time that I played with Germani, I crashed a helicopter and everyone hated me for the rest of the stream. It was like, no, you're not flying again. I was like, okay, sorry guys.
I do remember the comment actually. I don't know why I seen this because I haven't watched the stream yet, unless I caught part of it, where somebody had said, I think it was in one of your shows, Chase, where you said, I can tell about this because you think you drive a helicopter.
Exactly. That's exactly how I said it. I was like, man, don't let me drive a helicopter. So I was like, yeah, definitely don't let you drive a helicopter. Pilot a helicopter, you idiot. No, but in all seriousness, Germani did an amazing job. He's one of the awesome streamers we have in this community. And, I think him, and we'll get into a couple of the other ones. I rate him very, very high. I rate Meg very, very high. I rate Tommy very, very high. There's just a lot of awesome live gameplay streams that we had on this day. So this was one of the good ones, and it showcased Ghost Recon, and I think it showcased something in particular, which is Stream Connect. And for folks that have never seen that before, that's one of the beauties of Stadia. You can't do that on another console or another platform at this point. It's not in existence. So.
Yeah, and that tech is going to get so much more advanced as time goes on. I mean, this is the first game that we've seen it designed. Well, not designed for. I'm sure it was developed to use that instead. But it's something that once you've used it, you kind of feel like, why has nobody done this before? Because any kind of tactical game just got so much easier to play without having to say something. You could literally just look and go, yep, I can see that they're going to take that guy, not the one on the left. Which left? That's something that I've had so many problems. You're both from a different perspective, right? And they're like, yeah, I'm going to get the one on the left. Was that my left or is that your left? And depending on who I'm playing with, they, regardless of trying to work that out, is still being the same person.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I hope they introduce it into more games going forwards as well. So
that's exactly what I was going to say. Like the game that I want them to put this on, and I as soon as I saw how it was working in Ghost Recon, I was like, for the love of God, when Uplay Plus comes out, please put this in Rainbow Six Siege. Could you imagine this feature on that game? That game requires so much stealth, so much teamwork, so much coordination that I would love to see that in that game. I think it would be amazing.
Be interesting to see if we get Siege.
Yeah.
I feel like even with Uplay Plus, I think that's a game that we may not see transition to Stadia purely based on its sort of big esport scene at the moment. But that being said, maybe that's a turning point for Stadia.
It's a game that is still being played with high numbers. And I think that's why I rate it so high, is I know that there's a vast community of folks out there that really enjoy this game. And if you had the opportunity to have that feature in it, plus being able to play on the go, I think you compel some folks, especially with Uplay Plus. I mean, there's no reason that that's a game they can't make happen for that subscription model, I think.
And we've got Quarantine coming, right? Which obviously for a short period of time was part of Siege as an event that happened within that. So for them to now take that on board and make it a standalone game, that potentially could make a really good starting point. If they got that onto Stadia and like, right, well, this works, people are playing it, then maybe that's the kind of thing that would make them go, well, let's just drop it. Because Ubisoft have clearly invested a lot into putting their games on this platform already anyway. So, I mean, I would love to see a game like Siege hit this, because I feel like that would be one of those stepping stones where people would really push and go, well, you know what, if I'm going to try Stadia without buying into anything other than purchasing a game, and you've already got a controller, and then you play it and you're like, right, well, this works exactly the same as it did before, but my loading times are halved. I'm playing at a consistent frame rate without taxing my own computer or console or whatever it is. I'm not locked onto that hardware. I think that would be a really compelling point. And something that I spoke with Tommy T999 was that if people in a competitive game start seeing, like, across a crossplay scenario, start seeing the Stadia logo and be like, well, this guy's clearly like at the top of leaderboards more often. Is it because of a latency issue? Because at the moment, that's something that we can't compare that to another platform. We don't have Stadia in a crossplay scenario yet. And when we do get that, if we started seeing like that we're consistently having a lower ping than the people playing on whatever they're playing on, then people are going to start taking notice. People care about that latency a lot in competitive games.
That's a good shout, man. I never thought of that. I'm gonna be completely honest. That's a really good shout.
I think StadiaCast actually covered this in their show today. I think it was today's show anyway, where they said something about Stadia being used for competitive gameplay. Now, if you're playing someone who's also on Stadia, because of obviously the input latency, then technically speaking, you're both going to have just as much of an advantage / disadvantage as the other people. So,
yeah.
But yeah, when you talk about cross-platform, that's an entirely different ball game. So,
yeah, and I mean, this is something that I feel that we kind of need to get Stadia to be on board with. We've seen the backlash that Sony got from not wanting to enable crossplay. It led to Switch and Xbox marketing together purely to make a point that crossplay needs to be enabled for everybody. There is no point not to have crossplay anymore, and give people the option to select not having crossplay. That's fine, but you shouldn't be holding people out of crossplay for any reason at all. If they want it. And that's where I know some people really didn't like the idea of having Fortnite on Stadia. And I'm not a Fortnite player. I have played it, but I'm not a player of it. But I do feel like that game exists on every single gaming platform of this current generation. You can play it on a mobile phone, to a tablet, to a PC, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever, Switch, I think. Yeah, Switch has got it as well, isn't it? So I do think it could be a bit of a worry. If that game cannot be played on Stadia, is it a difficult task to make that transition? And does it cost a lot of money? Because that could be something we don't know about yet, that people that have already developed games are not going to want to spend however much it costs to redevelop for Stadia. It's clearly not a simple port. Otherwise, I think we'd see more of it already.
Yeah, and I always try to push back, and I know we're getting off into a tangent here because we were talking about all the content creators, but just real quick, no, it's not your fault, Tommy. I started it, so it's my fault. But shame. Sweet Jesus. But I think the term port, we have to be really careful because they're not porting a title. They have to literally build it on this platform. And I think people don't understand that, and not in a bad way, not to be negative, but it's not as simple as just transitioning the game. Linux is not the same type of API that these games are being built on. It's a completely different interface, and Vulkan, it's completely different. So that's why these games take so much time, and that's why, I think, again, we're seeing some of these developers, they're trying to slowly get up to speed with how to use this platform. And as more tools are offered, like Backtrace, we know that came with the error reporting and stuff, like these things that come online more and more, it's going to make it easier for developers. It's going to give them a little bit more confidence in developing. And the only hesitation I have in crossplay, not that I don't want to see it, but what's going to happen if you're playing on a console that's only 30 frames versus someone that's on Stadia at 60? Well, now you're potentially giving someone an advantage. So there's a lot of things here that I think still have to be ironed out in that space. And I think that's part of why this market, as far as all the games opening up in cross-plat and cross-play, are not fully...
Right back. Guys, sorry.
You're good. I think that's why we're not seeing it as much just yet, because there's all these other technical pieces, Dan, that are still going on with it. So,
yeah. Well, I've always said I think Stadia is more of a next-gen platform rather than a current/past-gen. Right. Obviously, they've had to get some kind of current-gen games on it to give them a reason to launch it, but I'm looking more to the future of Stadia rather than in the past. And I think a lot of games are probably going to be built with a lot of the capabilities that Stadia have. And we're going to see things like frames per second become less of an issue. Obviously, with the new Xbox and the new PlayStation, they're all going to have high frame rates. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue going forwards, I think, personally.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think in the now is where it's an issue. I think in the future it's not going to be. So I'm 100% in agreement with you on that one.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to press on without Tommy. I think he'll be back shortly. So we'll just talk. Did you catch StadiaCast's podcast?
I did. I caught this was around the lunchtime window. So for me, I caught the first about 15, 20 minutes. And then I had to step out for a little bit. So.
Yeah, I kind of watched it whilst I was playing a bit of Destiny 2 with my friend as well. So I kind of had it on in the background, multitasking. Yeah, it's always great to see them talking about Stadia, and they also did a Borderlands 3 stream afterwards as well, which was interesting. I got to see them battle it out for an achievement to kill one another. So
yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, and I saw Bill was shooting some of the hearts that they had because they have a special event that's been going on. Lloyd was raving about the gun that he picked up. Apparently, it's something special. I don't know. I'm not a big Borderlands player, so it's hard for me to follow that. But I try to do my best.
That was my first look at the Valentine's Day content because, like I've said in a previous stream, I played Borderlands 3 to death when it was on Xbox, but I've not really played it too much since it's come out on Stadia. So I'd love to get back into it, and I think we have talked about the possibility of maybe doing some sort of like a stream where we get together as content creators, and obviously you can only have 4 in a game, so we'll have to coordinate that better. But trying to get a better look at Borderlands 3 because I've seen it in the chat as well during the day, not just for StadiaCast stream as well, but anybody else who streamed Borderlands 3. A lot of people in the comments were writing stuff like, I didn't think this would be my type of game, but now I'm watching it, I might check it out. So
right,
again,
yeah.
that was another kind of purpose of the day, was to maybe give you a look at some of the games that you've not necessarily played yet. And I know we've got Supercross 3 coming up soon as well, so I'll leave that until we get there. But that's another one of those games as well where I think people were pleasantly surprised. So let's move on. Sounds of Stadia. They had a 3-hour slot, and let me tell you, it was some of the most fun I had in the entire day.
Agreed.
Absolutely hilarious. So, I mean, obviously those guys, I mean, I don't think some of them live too far away from me. So, I mean, it's my type of humor personally as well. But yeah, just seeing them do their podcast live, I think it's probably one of the first times you've actually got to see them all together, other than their 24-hour stream that they did. But
I think they've been together during they did the where they were playing was it Tomb Raider? I can't remember right now off the top of my head, but yeah, those guys, man, their chemistry is absolutely amazing, and I think that's why their podcast it's my favorite podcast. I've said it publicly. I love what they do. They each have their own views on things. I think Chris comes at it from a kind of a technology standpoint. His views are very, very good in that regard. Tom is opinionated. The new segment they started doing of Where's the Beef is absolutely one of my favorite segments now.
See his t-shirt as well.
And Richie's he's a gamer. You can hear it in how he talks about things. He loves the different aspects of the gaming community. So they're the 3 personalities together. They put together almost like the perfect recipe for a podcast. And their humor is just phenomenal. And I think it really showed through during the Trials Rising gameplay.
Yeah.
That was
onto that.
them going off. Like Chris literally, I think it was Chris that was like, Ubisoft, fix this game. He was legit pissed. Like his oh God, it was so good. It was so good.
I think with that game as well. I mean, I've been playing Trials since the first Trials HD on the Xbox 360. I've completed some of the extreme tracks as well, which, let me tell you, you have to put in work for them.
Yeah.
But I've played Trials in that kind of multiplayer couch co-op environment as well. I've played it with like my brother and some of my friends when they've come around in the past, but I did not know you had half of the stuff that was in that game, such as like the forfeits, and you could change the modifiers. I don't know whether they're specific to this Trials.
And the bets were hilarious.
Yeah. And I think a lot of other people were pleasantly surprised as well. Again, I saw in the chat people saying, I did not know that this was in Trials, and I'm now going to go out and purchase this because next time I have my friends around, this is going to be what we play. So
it looks like a great party game. Like, I don't know if Ubisoft realized, or that's actually not an honest statement there. They knew that building that game out, that they wanted it to be a couch co-op game. But I don't know. Again, this goes back to what's going to make Stadia so great is you can do these multi-user co-op sessions without freaking out or worrying that your console's going to either die, overheat, or can't project the frames effectively onto the television. So yeah.
Someone hoovering.
Yeah, it's my wife. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Ubisoft probably could have done with marketing that a bit better as well. Just saying, look, this is part of the game. So, because I certainly didn't know it was there, but.
No, I didn't either. Like, when I saw it, I have to tell you, when they were going through each one and their reactions to it, like, they were already pre-planning what they were going to do the next time they got to it. Like, oh, you're going to get this one. It was a lot of fun. And again, those guys, if you've never listened to their podcast, I highly, number one, I highly rate it, and number two, I highly recommend it. They do a phenomenal job.
And if I don't see that actual tattooed next time, I'm going to be disappointed. I would wear that tattoo with pride. So, again, I'll move on. I'll give Tommy a chance if he does come back to recap on some of those as well. But Cloud Gamer X were next. They did a 40-car grid race, which they've done before as well. But I don't know whether they hit the magic 40 or not, but I think they had a good time trying either way.
Yeah, I had to bounce in and out of that stream. So this was around the time of the day where everything was chaotic for me. I had family stop by that was completely unexpected. I had my day completely planned out of like, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing this, so that I would be able to be focused in the. I apologize for the vacuum. I thought I would have enough time in the evening, and then what ended up happening is that interaction sadly drained me because they were over for like an hour and a half. I'm like, oh dear God, please just. Sometimes you feel like that with family. You're just like, okay, I've had enough of you. You need to go. So yeah, that. What happened?
Just F off.
Jesus. But yeah, so I popped in towards the back half again, and that's where we all kind of jumped in together and took part in Supercross. That was the first iteration of it, and I'll stop there.
Yeah. So Supercross as well. I think I joined in that one. I think we kind of I keep on saying that word. Underestimated the amount of time it takes to coordinate a Supercross game. Because you tend to have to do quite a lot of laps and stuff. So if you've only set aside half an hour, for example, you're only going to get like 2 races in and that's it. But again, it was hella fun being part of that. And again, we've got some more Supercross 3 coming up as well. So we'll kind of talk about it in more depth then. Stadia Arcadia, some dude called Tommy who's abandoned us.
He knew his segment was coming up. He's like, I don't want to face the music on this one.
Yeah, I just want to keep things moving. Again, I'll give him an opportunity to talk about it when he gets back. But his interview with Tommy T999, big YouTube streamer. So obviously he pre-recorded that as well. Sorry, you're going to say something, Chase?
No, I was breathing. I'm sorry.
So yeah, it was kind of good to see someone outside of our community. But I think anybody who's kind of watched our podcasts know what we think of Stadia as well. We've hammered our points home multiple times by now, but to see someone who we've never really heard talk about Stadia in that capacity as well was good. And kudos for Tommy getting him in an interview as well. And I noticed he stopped in a few streams afterwards as well, just to kind of show support as well. So,
yeah, I think the reason that I was so excited about this interview is Tommy T was one of the first folks to do a full-fledged kind of like reaction, from hands-on gameplay from Gamescom. And he actually had the opportunity to capture gameplay of Doom Eternal, and really talked about why he thought that this was going to be the next big move in the gaming industry. And I thought the interview was really, really good. I had to kind of bounce in and out during this time, but I tried my best to pick up on some different things from it. And I know Tommy had to basically break the interview down because I think he said it was almost like a 2-hour conversation. That's one of the things that's awesome about this community too, just real quick, is a lot of the people that you talk with from this group of folks that we all interact with, everyone's just so humble. Everyone's just so welcoming and just willing to just have a mature conversation about, hey, this is what's great. Hey, this is not what's so great. Hey, this is what I would like to see. Hey, this is what I would not like to see. And you could just go on for hours. I mean, you go back to, not to talk about my stream again, but I mean, look at our segment. We almost went more than an hour just because you could just talk about this thing for days. So I thought it was really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was. And again, kudos to Tommy for getting that. So, next up, Megatron X, who was streaming Supercross 3. Now, this, again, was another one of my favorite streams of the day. We all jumped in to play Supercross with her as well, and it was just so much fun. And I was massively, massively surprised at how good that game actually is when you've kind of got a group of people playing that and you get along with.
I had the most fun of the day in there as well. And, number one, for those of you that have never had a chance to catch one of Meg's streams, please, next time that she's live, go jump in there. Just her enthusiasm, her positivity. It's what's the right term? It's oh God, I just had it on it's infectious. Exactly. That's it. It grabs your attention, and, she's a lot of fun to play with. And moreover, she's competitive. Let me tell you, man, there is no, you're not getting off with her. She will knock you off the track, anything to potentially win. She'll probably disagree with that. Say, how dare you, Chase? But nonetheless, it was a lot of fun. And I will tell you, coming into that stream, I was really, really aggravated about that game. Going out of that stream, it's hooked me. And that's kind of it goes back to what you said, Dan, is it's because of that group element. If you play this with a bunch of friends, you're going to have a ton of fun.
I could just remember coming out of it thinking, like, is that an hour already? Like, I could play another hour of this, 2 hours or something. Like, I was annoyed that her stream ended because I wanted to carry on playing. So, but it was just funny. And I apologize for landing my bike on top of your head as well, Meg. I hope you recovered from that.
The physics in that game are ridiculous.
Once you get the hang of it, though, it is one of those games. The first few races, you're going to be like, I have no clue what I'm doing. But just stick with it, and eventually you learn how the physics work and how, like, slippy the mud can be, for example, because we all obviously chose rain, being from the...
How dare you?
From the rainy place that is UK and Ireland, so...
I'm so upset over that.
But, yeah, and... I've only recently started watching Meg as well. So I wanted to obviously get involved somehow with her stream. So that was an excellent way to do it as well. And yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just shout out to Eddie. I don't know if you were going to say that, because I know he gave up a slot.
Say that, yeah. Eddie gave up his slot so that Meg could join in, because I think she registered her interest kind of later on. After all the schedules had kind of been agreed upon, so Eddie very kindly gave up one of his slots for her. So, but I think it worked out, because obviously Eddie was part of the race as well. So I think it worked out for the best.
100%.
After that, we had Club Stadia's Mortal Kombat tournament, which I know he got off to a rocky start, but that was one that I kind of dipped in and out because I'd got into bed at that point, and it was almost like I remember lying there and just thinking, I can't sleep. I just want to watch. And I even put it in the chat, like, I cannot sleep. It's like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I just want to sleep. But at the same time, I also want to watch this. So, and I think I missed the first like 40-50 minutes or so of it, but I jumped in for the semi-finals and the finals, and yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, I was a non-winning participant, and I used the Schwarzenegger, and yeah, I got completely destroyed. But it was Mortal Kombat is number one. If you have small children, it's not a game that you should be letting them watch because it is absolutely graphic, as you know what. But so much fun, and Brian's commentary. This guy needs. Listen, I'm gonna be the one that starts this movement. Someone needs to hire Brian as an esports commentator. Do it. Do it now.
Do it now.
Because he was do it now. Because he was awesome. In all seriousness, Brian is an awesome content creator. He does an amazing job. I love his channel. But I that was one of the highlights for me is his commentary. He was just so engaged with it, and I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the gameplay.
Yeah, and congratulations to the winners as well of those gift cards, and thank you for providing them as well, Brian. That was obviously he provided those codes himself, so.
Yeah, you have to give a shout out to Eddie. He was a non-winning participant. He just wrote in the chat as well. We both got destroyed. It wasn't even pretty. We shouldn't have even participated.
I missed your matches, Chase, so I might have to go back and rewatch them. But I did watch Eddie get it handed to him. So.
Don't do it.
better
time to do it. Better time.
I'm watching it after this, so.
You have to record your reaction.
Meg said Dan said goodnight, but we're still trooping on hours later. I was like, yeah, I know. It was after 4 a.m. in the morning that I went to sleep. So, and the event ended at 8 or 9 a.m. So, but Stadia dosage. Yeah, I'm just looking at the right part. Stadia dosage. So, again, I caught the first like 15 minutes of his stream, but after that, I was gone. He live streamed some Borderlands 3. These are the ones I've kind of got to go back and watch from here on. So, obviously, I can't talk too much about them. I don't know if you caught any of them, Chase, or
I didn't. And today I wanted to go this morning and actually watch that one back. I didn't have a chance yet. I've had so much I had to get caught up on today. And I promised my wife that we would go we have a bike trail here locally where I live. So we were out biking this morning. So I've literally got back in at noon my time and been doing house stuff. So that's one of my, like Tommy said, it's on my watch list. I want to go back and watch Glories. I want to watch MM2Ks, which is Stadia Dosage. I want to watch Stadia Weekly. I know he had one as well, if I'm not mistaken. And also Andy had one as well, which I want to go back and watch. So,
yeah, same. So, yeah, Stadia Weekly did another Borderlands stream, didn't he? And Andy, I seen that he was streaming Guilt for a certain amount of time. I kind of woke up in the morning, probably about 7:30, and tuned in, and he was still trooping along. So, yeah. So that was pretty much the day as a whole, really. There was a thank you message, a pre-recorded thank you message, because I knew I was going to be too tired to do anything in the morning. So I noticed a few messages from people saying, "You're not going live?" Yeah, sorry for that. I knew that we were going to be doing some sort of live stream today here, and I just needed the sleep. So big apologies for that.
Yeah, the fallout was massive, man. We were all dropping like flies.
I did want to do maybe some Destiny 2 streams in there because, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at PvP.
That is a fact. And we need to do, by the way, I'm just going to say this, just kind of sneaking this in there. Today, we need to do some Crimson Days, my friend. We got to get some rep.
Yeah. But I just figured that game had kind of been done to death a bit now. I wanted to give some of the other games a bigger highlight. So that's why I didn't jump live with that one. But yeah, overall, the day was a massive success. I just remember before I went to bed, I just remember going into my partner and just saying, this has been an amazing day. And I can't believe it went as swimmingly as it did. Everybody showed up. Everyone did their piece. Very, very minor hiccups at worst. But thank you to every single person that showed up, not only to stream, but to watch the streams as well. It was absolutely amazing.
I agree. And I knew from the moment that this event was being planned, a lot of folks, when we were working on this, had no idea this was happening until we kind of publicized it. But I had a feeling that, again, just knowing, and I know you've echoed this, Dan, that from the interactions that we have with everybody in this community, that this was going to be a massive success. And it absolutely was. It showcased how strong this community is. And I think that's something else too, going out of this. And I know a couple people messaged me privately and said, I got to say something. And I know we've all said this, but hearing it from people that are not content creators means a lot. People were saying to me that, I was curious about Stadia. This was actually literally somebody that messaged me. This was the exact wording. They said, I was curious about Stadia, and I came into today watching this and seeing how strong this community is. I went out and bought a Premier Edition.
Wow.
And that right there, I don't want to get choked up over it, but that right there just goes to show me that what we are doing, I know, a little bit of a tear. That right there goes to show me that what we are doing and what we did on this day mattered. If it meant one person, and not forcing purchasing preferences on people, but if it meant one person walked away from yesterday and felt like, hey, what these folks have done shows me why this might be a good fit for me. Look, we've done our job. And I think that's exactly what it was all about. So I was really heartened to see that. It really made me feel like, hey, this matters. This mattered. The day mattered overall.
Yeah. I'm just going to message Tommy because I know we're kind of approaching the end of the stream. I didn't think we wanted to go too much over an hour. So I know Tommy's had to shoot off for personal reasons. I just want to give him a chance maybe to pop back in and give his final take before we wrap everything up. And we're going to be doing the draw for the final prize shortly as well. We'll do that just to give Tommy a little bit more time to come back if he wants to. And this will be for your Stadia hoodie, your Stadia cup, and your Stadia claw. Obviously attaches to your controller so you can play on your mobile phone.
The trifecta.
So this is only available to participants that live in Europe. I think Tommy's just popped back, so we're going to get him back in.
Hey guys, sorry about that.
Hello.
The joys of Litlands.
No worries. Family first.
Yeah, he's wide awake now as well. He's just lying in bed watching TV. Sarah.
So basically what I was going to do is I was just going to quickly do this draw for the final prize, and then just to wrap up the day, Tommy, obviously we've steamed ahead and talked about the events. I just wanted to give you a chance to go over any that you enjoyed particularly that we haven't already touched on.
Don't know what you said. So for the first time, I actually sat down and listened to the sort of the full Stadia cast show as well, and I've caught bits and pieces of what those guys have done before, but I've never watched an entire show of theirs, and that's definitely now like one of the top tier ones that in my save to list I'm probably going to start going to earlier. I really enjoyed those guys' content. That's one of the things that I really liked about this event was finding some content that I hadn't previously had and then getting like mind blown.
Yeah, that's why I was laughing. Duncan rears his ugly head again.
That's the stream.
You know, the best thing about this hashtag is it's had the opposite effect.
I know.
I said it would. I said it would. In Meg's stream, I said it would. So, just before you carry on, Tommy, can we do this draw? And then
go for it.
I'll give you another chance to say what you were going to say. So, again, if I just bring this up here, I'm going to zoom in so people can see it as well. So these are all the people from Europe that entered as well. So let's randomize it from here. Dean Lawrence, you are the winner of the hoodie bundle.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You'll be receiving an email from us shortly asking for your address. Obviously, this is being sent from Stadia themselves. So obviously, we need your shipping address as well and your size for the hoodie. So yeah, we'll get in contact with you shortly on that one.
Get to join the exclusive club, except you'll get yours in the size that fits.
Why does yours not fit?
No, me. It's not. I don't think it's in the cut I did, but both me and Ross both have extra large because it's all they had available at the event. It's just like or small and women's size. That was it. So hopefully you get one that actually. I mean, they still fit. They're just extremely long. And that's if it's even the same one. I mean, that's what I tried to find out from them, but I didn't get a response. Obviously, you've sort of shown the ones off that light up in that, and they may get something different because the back C stuff was different from anything that I've seen previously. So it may be a new iteration of apparel anyway.
Dan, yeah, you're gonna have to get like some of those party poppers next time you do this draw. Do you see what happened, bro?
Yeah.
It just.
So I'm still learning how to use Streamlabs. So I don't know how to do anything just yet. But
so unfortunately, that little nugget that I got about using giveaways in Streamlabs is only integrated into Twitch. It doesn't work in YouTube. In fact, most of their functionality doesn't work in YouTube. Hopefully it will do soon because those kind of things would make this so much easier. It's a full raffle that everyone enters into, and it randomizes everything and does it for you. But yeah, no YouTube integration.
Google, if you're listening, fix that. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean I'm only streaming to YouTube. I don't have anything set up for Twitch at all anymore. But with the advent of bringing streaming to YouTube as a gaming thing again, obviously they dropped YouTube gaming, but they've just brought it all into the one brand again. And with Stadia, we know we're getting that ability at some point to stream natively through the app and so on. That I would imagine we are going to get all these integrations of connecting with your audience. But that's something that Twitch at the moment just destroys in comparison. The interactivity that you get and features with Streamlabs and OBS and whatever platform you're using, they make life very easy for the creator to engage with the audience. I mean, I know you do get stuff once you hit, I think, the 1,000 subs mark. You get like the super chats and so on then. But I mean, that can take a long time to get to, and there are people that are never going to get there as well. So it would be nice to just see them open these sorts of things up to everybody.
Yeah, they have a lot of community tools, but as far as like live interaction and live interconnectivity, that's where, like, I agree with you. They need to, like, especially with Stadia coming on board, you need to separate yourself from the pack. Because what's going to happen when, again, very quickly, what's going to happen if we see Amazon come in and with Twitch, they start doing all these fancy things. Well, then now YouTube and Google and Stadia right back at, well, what do you got that they don't have? Yeah. So they're going to need to get on top of some of this stuff. And I think they will. I think it's only going to be a matter of time. It's just, these are early days. These are early days now. So
And to be fair, I've noticed that Streamlabs has started updating a lot more regularly than it has been. Now, while none of that is seemingly aimed at YouTube, I would imagine that obviously people are going to have had talks with these providers to say, look, these are the kinds of things that we would like to look at doing. And people are going to already be starting to develop for that, I would assume. Generally speaking, when that turns on, YouTube or Google are going to want to know that there are platforms that allow people to do this very easily. And if they don't or aren't yet, I think they really should be looking at it by now, because if they want developers to have these products ready for people when it goes live, they don't want to be caught in the whole, oh, we're beta tasting. That would be different. Beta testing things now. They just want to be able to open it and go, here you go at it, guys.
So,
told you
Tommy,
it was bedtime.
Just want to give you an opportunity to talk about not only your own stream as well, if you want to say a few things about that. And also, we had quite a lot of talk about Meg's Supercross stream, because I know you were a part of that as well. So if you just want to touch on them finally. Yeah,
so again, I've said thank you a lot of times now, but to Ross, who Tommy T 999, I was kind of blown away when I received the DM back to say that he was interested in doing that. For those that don't know, I met him at the London event and did the blind test that he was hosting, where he compared Stadia to the Xbox One X and identical settings on the same screens and so on, but trying to work out what console was what. And that whole sort of process probably took about 15 minutes or so, I think, and then obviously they edited it down for just bits from different people. But I spoke to him again later on in the day, and actually I spoke to him twice separately from that in the day, and he was just a really down-to-earth guy, and followed him straight away. And yeah, when I just sort of reached out, knowing that he's worked with Stadia, that was kind of the only thing I was going on. I was like, right, well, I've met this guy before, he won't remember me, but he's into Stadia, he's worked with Stadia UK. And when he came back and he's like, yeah, I'm down for that, when you're doing it. And at this point, I think this was the Monday before the event that we actually locked it down. I was just like, yeah, so we go live on Saturday. And it was a case of going, okay, yeah, let's see what we can do. So it's just a massive thank you to him, man. It was an awesome chance to get to do that content. And I've said to a couple of people that at some point I'll release not an uncut version, because there's parts in there that won't make sense if I do it in that way. I didn't record it in the right order, but I will release a sort of a full feature version of that, because it's just under 2 hours, the entire thing, whereas it was about 45 minutes of content that I got to use for the channel. And I think there are some seriously interesting points that we didn't touch on, purely because it would have segmented too far, and I would rather people see the whole conversation. He's worked within the games industry for a really long time, and he knows his stuff and what he's talking about. And there's some really interesting points that I think a lot of people would like to hear, and not at all in a fanboy sense. They are quite the opposite, actually, of quite harsh things that if we don't see some of these things, that could be a real sign of trouble for the platform. So there is definitely a really interesting thing to get from that, and I will put it out in the coming weeks, but I'll leave it for a little bit. But moving on to Meg's stream, that was brilliant, man. I was so entertaining to get in on that and just have such a laugh for the game that I previously said, I think on a stream, that I don't think that game was going to be for me. Partly because of the price point, partly because I'm not really into that sport itself. But that game is serious fun, especially in a party like we were in, and Compound 6 is evil. But
it sounds like some kind of like virus that's made its way into the ether.
It's where Umbrella founded. But yeah, that was a quality stream, and thanks for Meg to allow us to get in on that. Now the other cat's joining the stream, and now he's gone.
Cameo it out.
Yeah. Disruption gone.
So to finish off, I think we had a question in the chat. Adam T. from the games presented in SSS, what was your favourite one?
I'll take this one first, if that's all right, guys. So I'm going to say that my favourite game was Monster Supercross. I had the most fun playing that game that I've had probably in the last couple of weeks, actually. And not saying that the other games I've been playing on Stadia weren't great, but this was the first party game that I've had with friends, and it's just been really funny, not just like a little chuckle. There were some really funny moments that happened on stream, and that game, like even today, I was like, I really want to play this now, but I don't want to play it by myself. And that was at the point where there was nobody online. I was like, I'll wait. But that's a game that I'm going to be putting some more time into for sure.
Chase, you want to take one?
I have a 1A and 1B. I know it's such a cop out, but it's I actually I'm gonna diverge a little bit, because I think Monster Energy Supercross 3 is a very, like, when I say it's a very close second, I literally mean it. I think Trials Rising was my favorite, and I'll tell you why. I think that's going to be a party game that all of us can take a part in, and with all those bets that are in there, like, you can really put someone in a really tough spot. So for me, I had the most fun watching that game. Now that was watching, so that's why I'm saying like a 1A. As far as participating in, I think Monster Energy Supercross 3 is another one of those party games where if you get, like, 5 or 6 people together and you start knocking people off the track with the physics that's in that game, you're going to have a laugh. You're going to have a really, really good time. And that just makes me more excited about some of these other games coming along, like Get Packed and Spitlings. Like, I know these are going to be games that are just going to have us in stitches. So for that, I would have to say Supercross. I don't know if your intent was to make folks laugh about that game, but I'm going to tell you, you definitely, from that perspective, you definitely have a winner, because it's a fun party game.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you're right. I don't think that's even remotely the intention of that game. But when you
no, it's not.
A group of people that have like little to no interest in it as a sport, generally speaking, and they don't know how to play those kind of games. And it's not an easy game to play by a long stretch. The amount of times where I fell off when I was practically going in a straight line, I was like, I don't know how that's happened. But just by the dynamics of the weather affecting the track is insane.
There's some high level physics in that game. Like, you don't think it when you start playing it. You're like, oh, this is just one of those simple go around the track kind of games. And all of a sudden you hit one of those lips the wrong way and you face plant. You're like, Jesus, what just happened? The poor man broke his neck.
So I think I have to pretty much match what Chase said as well. I think I'm going to go, my top one was Trials, just because there was so much of a deeper level to that game than what I was aware of, like I said before. And I'm thankful for the guys at Sounds of Stadia for opening that up to me. But probably if I had to pick a joint first/second, it was Supercross. So yeah,
it's good results for the Supercross. Considering when that game came out, I did honestly think it was going to be a massive flop.
Well, you know what's funny is, out of that stream when we were with Meg, there was 3 or 4 people that said, I think I'm going to buy this game now.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that Google, they wanted folks to get in a large party and play that. And I'll tell you right now, I can already imagine that there's some of the content creators in our community that are already thinking about getting a 22-player race together for that thing. Because if you do that, you're going to have so much fun in there. Again, the competition part of it, I think it happens over time. Like, you start getting a little bit more competitive as you go on. But when you first start playing it, just seeing everybody you're like, where did this person, like, they just disappear off the track? What's going on? Oh, man.
So I want to start wrapping this up now. It's obviously going to be turned into a podcast as well that you can catch on things like Spotify as well. I don't know if you guys want to say anything, like, from the chat, if there's any comments you want to highlight or anything, or
I'd just like to highlight Duncan, who voted for that level, because we all know it was you every single time.
And see, here's the thing: when we were in there, just real quick, he kept going. And you'd hear him kind of like go out for a second. He knew he was caught. He knew he was caught. He knew it.
Also, I'd just like to say that if we ever get a trials game on, look out, Duncan. Every bet is going to be made for you.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Justice will be served, my friend. Don't worry. You said if there was any questions in here, was that what you asked, Dan?
Do you have just any comments that you've seen that you kind of want to highlight before we wrap up? I know we've gone well over an hour now, but
there was one actually. It was actually a question. It's from King Sire. It's a little bit further up above Adam T's, where they said about a soft rollout. And somebody answered it, but I just wanted to elaborate on it just a little bit.
This one?
Yes. So the answer to that is, I think the Google PR team on Twitter basically alluded to that it was rolling out. And then a little bit later on, if you look through that Twitter feed, they actually clarified that it's not fully out. So it's something that will be coming in the coming months. And it's just, as we see with Stadia, things change at a moment's notice. And I know we've all talked about this in streams when we've played together, that you'll log on one day and all of a sudden the color saturation looks 5 times better on Destiny. Next time you log on, it doesn't look as good. And they're constantly playing around with things. It's pretty obvious, when you log into each of these games, that there's little minor things that are being tweaked. And 4K support will be the same thing. That you'll just log on one day onto the browser and you're just going to see 4K, and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 hours later they're going to say, hey, 4K is available. That's basically how it's going to go down.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, because I know a lot of people are talking about this, but I wonder how many people are actually really going to benefit from it, because we already know that playing these games under best performance or performance mode, whatever it is, can yield shaky results sometimes. I mean, I don't have a 4K monitor anyway. My monitor is 1440p, but the TV on the Chromecast works flawlessly. But I just feel that at the moment, Chrome is probably the bottleneck in this, not anything else.
Yeah, there was another question as well from the same person. Have you guys heard any rumors on the wireless controller support?
I made a prediction, and I think it's probably going to happen. I think by the end of Q2, which would be April, May, June. So by the end of June, I think controller support will be available across most devices. We already know they're going to make that available for the for the browser, for the computer. But I think you're also going to see it slowly transition over to mobile devices as well. And I think what's going to happen is it's going to be staggered. You're going to see iOS support come out and other Android support come out first. They'll get that in line, and as soon as that happens and they feel comfortable, they'll just flip on the switch for the controller support for mobile devices as well. So I think by the end of June, we're going to be in a pretty good spot as it relates to that. That's just my opinion,
Yeah, I think we may see it slightly earlier than that. I'd like to think that by the time we, maybe not hit April, because we don't know what they're planning on for March yet. I mean, that for me, that is probably my priority now, is knowing what happens for the founders, because premieres are right behind us, but we're getting to a point where we're going to be paying our first payment and we don't know what changes, which is not a massive thing, because I don't really, it can't get any worse. So I'm already happy with making that. So it's only going to get better from that. But it would be interesting just for people to be aware of what's happening, because a lot of people aren't going to be okay with that, thinking, well, I'm about to pay you for my first month of Pro, but I don't know that I'm going to get any of the things that I'm supposed to be getting in this following month, or it could be another month after that. So I think hopefully we'll see the wireless support next, and after that I think we'll start seeing the resolution output changes, and once those things are kind of nailed, I think that's when we're going to see them start turning other features on, but not in one go. I think we're going to get each feature one at a time. They're going to roll it out, see what problems happen. Once that's pretty much done, they're going to release the next stage, and I'm fine with that, because that's a pretty sensible way of doing it.
And if CrowdPlay's ready now, Google, for the love of God, showcase it at GDC. Showcase it at GDC. Put it on the stage and show what it can do. This thing's living and breathing now. It's a perfect opportunity, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So you want to go ahead and wrap this up, guys?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say? Like, do you want to put out a plug for your channels, either of you?
I mean, yeah, I guess I can do that. You can find me at youtube.com/StadiaTalk. You can also follow me on Twitter at PhantomUFCFan.
And you can find me on Twitter at Arcadia_Stadia. And my YouTube channel is just my name now, so it's just /Stadia Arcadia on the end of YouTube. But you can also find me doing obviously all the Stadia Source stuff now as well, which it's a nice crossover. Actually, it's nice to get to do a little bit of both.
Yeah, and obviously you can find us at StadiaSource.com as well, and you're already on our YouTube, so you don't need to know where that is. So yeah,
but you do need to click like and subscribe.
You do, yes. Like and subscribe, please. Hit that bell so you get alerted every time we go live. Thank you for everyone for turning up to our roundtable. We hope you enjoyed it. So, and thank you guys for being a part of it as well.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, I'm going to wrap this up then. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.